Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Gameweek 38 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zofa. My co-host, Late Riser, and I are joined by our friend, Big Man Bucket. How's it going, Big Man?
Thanks for having me, Zof. Hello, and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. It's going well. I'm actually looking forward to a bit of a break this season. It's been a long, grueling season, finally coming to an end. Overall happy with the way it's gone, but with the World Cup, it's been very, very tiring as a content creator. So actually looking forward to the break that's coming up. What about you guys?
LR?
I mean, it's the most I've looked forward to a season ending ever, I reckon. It's just been a drag post Game Week 28. It's just double after double after double, feeling constricted because you're sort of tunnel vision into picking from a very tiny pool of players. It's just not been a fun game. like FPL hasn't been fun since about 10 game weeks, and I don't think it has anything to do with how I'm doing in the game. Anybody I've spoken to, people who are doing incredibly well in the game, just haven't enjoyed the game. Like I think in my mind, it'll probably be one of the most least memorable seasons, most boring seasons. I mean, I can't wait to see the back of it. It feels like one of those bad seasons in a show that you watch, right? Like Zoff. I mean, the final season of Game of Thrones comes to my mind, where you got to finish it because you've started it, but you're just like dragging along the way.
Yeah.
Like the last 5-6 weeks have honestly felt like a chore.
Yeah. It's like Lord of the Rings, Sauron is dead, but you're just waiting for it
Yeah.
to end the last 20, 30 minutes. You're like, okay, can I leave now? Can I go home now? It's about it.
Like I'm out of here after this today. I'm happy about it. And in fact, like the last 3-4 weeks, the more I've been thinking about this game, the more I think about FPL. Like the more interesting thing is to think about next season rather than what to do in 35, 36, 37, 38. Like the bigger picture, macro point of views, thinking about next season is just much more fun at the moment.
Yep. And lots of things to consider for next season. We have a lot of good teams now who are going to be playing in Europe, Newcastle, Brighton, who have been sort of fantasy mainstays in our squad, how they are going to rotate, a lot of clubs with new managers, etc., etc. Liverpool will probably be a force again. I'm already looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
What do you think though? Let's indulge a little at the moment. Bakar, one team that you think has done well this season that will underperform compared to what they've done this season. Go ahead. So if you have a name that comes to your mind.
I would probably say Arsenal. I think with the Champions League congestion and all, I don't think they'll be as good. I definitely think they've overachieved this season.
That's an interesting one. I think my shout would probably be Brentford. I don't think Brentford are good enough to be a 7th or 8th place team, as how well they've done this season. Maybe Villa as well, because again, they don't have as big a squad. They're just shooting to be in the Europa Conference League. So probably those two.
Villa's interesting because you're going to give Emery a preseason and you're going to give Emery a proper window. And I think he's smart enough to figure out what to get out of that team. And there's enough young up and coming players out there. Like the team I think might have overperformed this season based on the kind of window they have, because they could have two superstars coming into that team as Newcastle United. I think them having no Europe and that squad, I think, is punching above its weight because of the manager managing that team. He's done an incredible job, but I don't know how they will be able to cope.
Yep.
With,
the style also they play, right?
regular-
It's such a physical, intense pressing style to manage that with Wednesdays, Saturdays, etc., etc.
But like, if you think about it, like, we spoke about it at the start of the season. The fact that now they are in the top 4, they could have a ridiculously good window. That isn't the best window to have, because you know what happens when a lot of good players come and an overblown squad setup happens. I mean, your team is prime example of something like that happening. But yeah, Newcastle, let's see, because I think they were in with a straightforward point of view. But with Europe, I don't know. And I don't think the squad's quality, as it stands currently, is enough to manage the rigors of European football in the midweek as well.
I hope.
How do you feel about the Poch coming?
Pochettino, I'm excited. Again, depends a lot on the window that we have. A lot of players need to leave. I don't want this whole over-bloated squad. I like no midweek. And I can't wait to look forward to weekends where you want, look forward to watching Chelsea play. I think the main reason I haven't enjoyed the season as much is because every weekend, every Thursday, Friday, you get excited about Chelsea are going to play. And it's always been, we've had a clear target we're achieving. Obviously, we're not a title challenging squad anymore, but top 4, when you go into a weekend with something to play for, right? It gives you the other sort of incentive, the other sort of excitement. And not having that in my life has been very, very disappointing.
Probably why
I think Chelsea will
also.
I think Chelsea will be a very interesting team to watch out for next season, because I think they'll be underpriced, and with Poch, no Champions League football, I think we're probably going to get some bargains over there. I'm actually looking forward to investing in Chelsea next season if they show any signs of improvement early on.
I'm with you, Bakar. I think Chelsea are the team. I think they're going to be this year's next season's Arsenal in terms of being underpriced, like you mentioned. Glad that you're already on board. Zoff now, three Chelsea fans on the pod, if you're counting. Buckers in blue as well.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Speaking of
Mention
which,
pricing.
Bucker,
Sorry, I just want to mention pricing. I really hope we don't have a situation where we can afford 11 players from the top 4, top 6 in game week 1 like we could this season, right? The pricing needs to be made a bit more challenging as well. Sorry, you were saying.
Yes, that's actually a very good point, because this season everything's been very easily affordable. I mean, team value has basically been redundant. It really hasn't mattered, simply because when you look at the Arsenal players, they made it very easy to afford. Even someone like a Brighton, I mean, okay, that was kind of unexpected, I would guess, but again, when you have so many players who are cheap, it makes it very easy to afford.
yeah, man. Bucker, how was the weekend though? You're in blue. I think you're in blue for a reason. You were partying with your mates Jack and Phil. How were the celebrations with Pep?
I mean, I don't know about the weekend, but I was out there partying last night when I got some Everson jam off the bench for Edison. I mean, that was very welcome. I mean, I haven't had my fair share of luck in terms of substitute points this season, but that was very, very jammy, borderline disgusting. But I'll take it. I mean, I'm happy with the points that I've gotten.
Yeah, the Saturday results.
That actually,
the Saturday results influenced the whole week, right? Because you had the Villa Liverpool game and the Arsenal game. That pretty much made the whole game week a damp squib.
Yeah. Actually, the fact that since the last 5 or 6 weeks, I haven't been as into FPL as I have been previously, and I've been open about it and spending less and less time on Twitter, etc. So there's always a thing where you're in, and when you're out, you're out. I sort of been treading along for the last 4 or 5 weeks, but the amount of anger that is there on Twitter for people getting bench jam, etc. We're all grown men and women wondering whether this person is going to get on, and if this person is going to get on, all these other people are going to get these points, and these things seem to affect us so much. I've sort of become immune to that in the last 5 weeks, but that's because I'm in this headspace. When I'm in, I get affected by the slightest of things. But
you know why that is, right? It's because most people have 10 out of the 11 same players. It's that one guy who's pretty much going to make the difference between your game week, right? And when that one guy is making such a big difference, like let's say an Everson sub on, or let's say a Trippier coming on for a Grealish, that's what's driving people so mental. Because everywhere you look, your team is going to have 80-90% ownership, and that's been the case since game week 29.
Yeah.
Trippier versus Isak was a very popular swing. I mean, there are a lot of people who, for example, have Isak coming off the bench just compared to the likes of Trippier, and that's obviously caused a big swing in terms of points, and it's just one player.
It takes fun away, at least for me, though, because I'm thinking about how I want to play this game next season. And, I had that terrible season where I finished outside the 500k, and I was adopting FPL Salah Abdul strategy, where you float with the boat, with the group for the first 10 weeks, because that's not when you make your ground. But it just, I want to just pick good players irrespective of ownership and start, because I've had a season where I'm currently at 90k, and I'm in my head, at least as of now, I don't care about rank as much. I care about fun, because there was a way in which I could have gone in the 26 wildcard and hadn't. And it just changed made me realize in terms of what I actually like to do when I'm playing FPL. And I think I'm clear in my head in terms of how I just want to play this game. It just adds to the fun element. I don't like having a game week where my week is determined by Isak versus Pope or whatever you mentioned right now, Buck. Right? There should be 4 or 5 players who are going to give you joy, etc. And just finding that is how I want to play, I think.
Yep. Hopefully just limited doubles next season would make it go back to the simple formula: good players, good teams.
Yeah, I know. Just open up the pool of players. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, 34 and 37, we've had doubles from Man United, Man City, Brighton have doubles since forever. So, I mean, that's 9 players over there straight away. Where the differential is going to come from, right? It obviously limits your choice given how the fixtures are panned out.
After 28, mistake me if I'm wrong, is this the first week without any doubles, or maybe we've had one more?
There've been a few. There've been a couple, I think.
We've had 35,
a couple, 33, 31, etc.
Yeah. 70%, 80% have been doubles. If I'm
or
not
the
mistaken,
doubles
right?
either side of it. There's always a double around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's the same teams who've had the doubles, which has made the game even more templatey.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's still a game week ahead, guys. Let's have a look at those. Let's do a sponsor plug and we will go fixture by fixture looking at the picks for the final day. All data you see on the FPL Wire is taken from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. The new improved members area is now up and running, and the new comparison tool lets you compare key stats for up to 3 players. Player projections are also live, and as always, you can access the custom stats table we create or make one for yourself. Sign up for membership today using our affiliate link in the description below. Let's start in North London, Arsenal versus Wolves. I don't think anyone will be having Arsenal players in their squad right now. So I think all these guys, the Arsenal attackers, are good differentials this week.
What do you think, though? Like, what do you think is going to happen there? Do you think they're going to continue? Because they were not good against Forest. Their underlying numbers, I think, is 0.7 XG, if I'm not wrong. Is this going to be like, you know what? Screw everything else. We've had a good season. Let's put on a show against Wolves again in front of our own crowd, or is it going to be not getting over what happened and how we blew off the genuine title shot that we have and heads still remain down? What do you think happens?
I think now that there is no quote unquote pressure or pretty much nothing to play for, is pretty much just go out and do your thing. And that's when Arsenal do best. I remember a Giroud hat-trick a few seasons ago. I watched that game with a few Arsenal fans. I didn't have Giroud and I just looked at them like, guys, why do you have Giroud? He doesn't have anything to play for. And they're like, bro, this is when Arsenal play well. When we have nothing to play for and we have no pressure. This is why we captain Giroud.
Zoff, can I indulge a little bit in a story here? Because that's like probably my favorite or top 3 FPL memory of all time. I think ranked around 200, 250 or something of that sort. And I was obsessed with Giroud. There are these certain players that I get obsessed with. Giroud and Aguero being, and now Martial. And then I tried with Werner, but he just wouldn't indulge. But so Giroud was playing for Arsenal against Aston Villa. I took a hit in Gameweek 38, got in Sadio Mane, who used to play for Southampton at the time, and Giroud. And I was ranked 16th or 15th in India at the moment. And just because of my love for Giroud, and again, they had their home game against Villa, I put the armband on Giroud. Hat-tricked, and I moved from 15th in the world to 1st in the world. And I came to know about a Giroud hat-trick because I was on holiday at the time during his 3rd goal. Because my brother's an Arsenal fan, because I was just happily chilling and I'm like, wait, something might be happening here. And that's when I got into the top 100 for the first time also. So probably one of the greatest FPL moments I've had, And that's what the game is.
You said top 1 in the world, you mean in India, right? You said
top 1 in India and top 100 in the world. Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think good story. And I do think there's investable options there. I think, but who do you like, Bakar, from here?
I think Arsenal will convincingly. I think they'll put on a show. And Wolves away from home, they're just really, really bad. Arsenal haven't put up even 1 XG in their previous 2 fixtures, but as alluded to earlier, I agree with the narrative that they will play without any pressure. And at home, they're generally better. And apparently Lopetegui is leaving as well. He's not really happy with the fact that the board haven't backed him. Wolves away have their XGC over the last 6 has pretty much been approximately 2. I think Arsenal will do well. And if I was looking at someone, I think they'll probably keep a clean sheet as well. I think this is one of the clean sheet fixtures this week. And when you look at the attackers, I'd probably go with Saka if you can afford him, because I think there's a slight chance of the occasional rest in the front 4. I think there's a chance that, let's say, Jesus gets subbed early. I mean, rotation just to give the youngsters a game. I know, but I mean, there's a chance that someone like a Nelson gets a look in. I won't be surprised to see that happen.
Or a Smith Rowe.
But and I just think early subs could happen for the front 4, and I think Saka is least prone to them. So on penalties as well, if I was picking an attacker, I'd look at Saka.
Not Jesus.
Just thinking about it, Trossard actually fits that narrative well, where he's sort of in both teams. Like if he was first team because Martinelli is injured, he's going to be there. And if somebody deserves minutes and hasn't been getting minutes because of not being able to play in the first minutes and definitely deserves a chance in front of the crowd, like Trossard fits both wills. Whichever way Arteta goes, his expected minutes look good to me, and he just seems like a great pick. He's in the points whenever he's on the pitch. I think there's your punt.
Jesus is really good at home, Zoff.
Yeah, Jesus is really good at home. What I was asking, Pranil, I think the reason I'm worried about Trossard is Smith Rowe. Because a lot of guys, Arsenal legends, have been complaining about like Smith Rowe not being given enough game time. I think Tony Adams said something about that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a run out.
Where would you go though? I'd be happy to punt on Saka as well. I have no issues.
I think Jesus, because I think again striker spots should be interesting this week. I think out the very few places you can go for striker punts, and as we cover the games, we will come to that conclusion. I think Jesus is definitely worth a shot. I don't see him playing Nketiah.
Yeah, Jesus is nice, but if I was picking one, I'd probably look at Saka. But
Saka
I
over.
think Jesus is a very good shout as well, especially for those who are looking to get a striker. I mean, 65, 70 minutes could be enough in this fixture.
My money's on Trossard. Feeling it.
His stats haven't been good though.
fun.
I mean, in the last 6, he's had just like one big chance. But again, I mean, I'm just playing the fiction. It's just one game where everything is random. So again, statistics don't really mean much when it comes to just one game.
In defense,
Odegaard plays, you think?
Oh yeah, Odegaard has to play, definitely.
Yeah.
So why not him then? It's just because the kind of game in which, I see Arsenal dominating
Also
60,
good pick.
70, 75%
pick
of the
as well.
possession.
Yeah.
And he tends to do well in these games where there is control exercised by that Arsenal team, as per the brilliant guys on our Discord as well. Why not Odegaard? Yeah? Just
I mean, all of them are good picks. It's just about who you can afford and who is the easiest for you to get to. I mean, honestly, it's very team dependent.
So all three of us are on the same page, at least, where we don't think Arsenal are going to be heads down. One of the teams to punt on.
Definitely. I see
2-3 I think this is going to be a comfortable win. Yeah, 3-4.
And a clean sheet. They're probably the clean sheet banker, I think, this week.
But if you guys are talking about clean sheets, right, and it's all loosey-goosey game week 38, like, what are your thoughts in general on spending a transfer on a defender in 38? Like, unless you're spending on a trend or someone incredibly attacking, I just look to spend my transfers in attack. What are your general perception?
Let's have a full discussion about it, because I think you can get by. The only reason you probably make a defensive transfer is if you don't have 3 playing defenders. And I think or you need to raise money for somewhere else and upgrade. So in that sense, I think the defenders obviously have the lowest upside. I think you can even roll with a guy who gets 0. But let's have a discussion more on how many transfers do you take, right? Because you're having so many teams with nothing to play for. I look at my squad, I could be missing even 8 to 9 players. So what is the threshold, do you guys think? Up to how many players do you take to field hits? Because the guy you bring in for a hit could obviously blank and you put yourself in a deeper hole, right? How far do you go to field 11 and do you stop at a certain number, Bakar?
I mean, I don't personally think that a transfer for a defender is justified. I mean, in my own team, I have Trippier. I'm not really confident we'll keep a clean sheet this week. I mean, there are other people with, let's say, Kepa in goal or someone, but in general, when you've looked at Game Week 38, the games are generally high scoring. The number of clean sheets in 38 are generally less than the season average across other game weeks. So it does sort of seem a very low upside transfer to make. But having said that, if you end up with no keeper playing, or if you end up with just 2 defenders playing and the other 3 benched, then I think obviously a hit could possibly be worth it. But again, it will probably have to be the significant majority of the team being benched, which would make me think that a transfer for a goalkeeper or a defender is worth it.
Elara, I know what you're going to say. Just avoid the defensive transfer. Just take the 0.
Avoid the defensive transfers, and hits for 7 attackers are fine.
Yep. I think I pretty much depends on again how many hits, because we have the numbers up here. Last year we had 3.9 game goals per game, which is the highest has been, and there were only 2 clean sheets. So at the backs of what you're saying. But again, in terms of attackers, I don't even know about that, because let's say the Brighton guys miss out. How far do you go? Do you take a -12? If let's say you have 3 attackers, you take a -8. How far do
8
you
is
go?
a threshold, I reckon. I think 8 is fine as a threshold.
8, right? That's what I agree with as well. I don't think I'll be going.
But it's only, I mean, it's only because of perception, right? Like if you really think about it, 80-90% of people in and around your team have the same team. So if you're screwed, they're screwed too. Like, so it comes down to then whether they're going to take the hit and whether you think that it's actually a case of 2 points if you count the start. And you need 1 return and you're in the positive. In a weird sort of way, let's say you have 5 players not starting out of your 8 attackers. The chances of you coming through are greater if you make the full bet.
Because you need 1 guy to go big.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just making the bets. If you're sure about these players not starting, but I don't think that happens. It's fine. I don't think you have to pressure because I think the -8 to -12 thing is just a perception in our head.
Yep. Each transfer you got to look at individually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I get what you guys are saying. Cool. Let's move
Yeah.
on to the fixture thing again. Move on. Anything more on Arsenal Wolves? Move on to Villa Brighton.
No.
Next
Yep.
one.
Pras posted a nice video of these guys celebrating the Brighton lads yesterday. The Europa League qualification hangover looks to be quite high. I think Villa are a team we should be investing in.
We should be,
Yes.
but I'm not feeling it.
I don't mind Watkins.
Like,
I don't think in midfield I'd go there. I wouldn't bother with their defenders. Possibly Moreno, but I think Brighton will still look to score. I don't mind Watkins as a striker.
yeah, I mean,
I think this
Brighton
is a
will
good
have
fixture
open
for Villa.
space. Yeah.
Sorry, Bakar.
I think this is a good fixture.
I think so
this is
too.
a good fixture for both teams. In fact, I mean, a lot of people are looking to sell Matoma, McAllister. I don't necessarily think this is a bad fixture. I know Villa haven't conceded in 5 of their previous 6 home fixtures, but Brighton can score against anyone. I mean, they put up 2 XG against City, against anyone. I mean, against Arsenal, they were very good as well. So I won't be surprised to see them score twice. I mean, I'd only feel comfortable selling a Brighton player if, let's say, all other 11 players of mine were starting, or either if I knew that one of the Brighton mids was benched. But I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and it could work out. I mean, Mitoma he's put up almost 5 XG across the
7 big
previous 10 or 11
chances.
games he has scored.
7 big chances.
8 big
last
chances. 8 big chances. 8 big chances. Yeah, 8 big chances since he scored. His numbers have been incredible. He's sort of regressed to the mean because he was overperforming after the World Cup.
Bakar. Question: has any woman done to you what Mitoma has done to you as an owner in the last 5 weeks?
I would
Genuine question.
I would
Genuine question. Come on, yes or no? Yes or no? Throw it in there. Come on. Incredible the amount of teasing, man. Incredible. Like every game, hitting the bar, open in front of the goal. Like there are so many thoughts that come to my mind, and it's just not happening then.
At this point, I'd also like to say that I personally think Ramsey is not a bad shout either, because
he's deflecting from the fun bit. Yeah, I don't like that.
I mean, his numbers across the home games are decent as well. And I mean, if you're looking at let's say Brighton mid was benched, I think Ramsey could do well as well. His numbers in home games are decent.
The Rawalpindi Randi.
And the good thing I like about Villa is the fact that they're still fighting for the European place. And unlike a lot of other teams, their players I think they're highly likely to play 90 minutes. And that's when, Brighton will be leggy, short turnaround. Game might be stretched at that point. I think that's when the hauls come. And I like that for Watkins, Ramsey, and those boys. I think it's a good fixture.
I'm glad that one of us is at least serious about this whole Gameweek 38 thing.
Yeah. like both of us have fucked off not writing the paper. We're not going to write the final exam of the day. Screw it. That's what why we're here. We're here just for vibes and to laugh and make jokes with and about Bakar. That's why we're here.
That's okay.
Yeah. But on a serious note though, I think people are underplaying Brighton a little. They will have a hangover, but they're Brighton.
Good spacing. And Wednesday, Sunday is a decent rest around as well.
Unless you know for sure that your Brighton asset is definitely benched, I don't think you should sell players from the most attacking team in the last 10 game weeks.
Yeah, regarding the defense, though, their away numbers aren't that great. I mean, they concede approximately 1.5 XG in away games. So I think it's a good fixture when you look at both attacks.
That's what you said about Estupinan and Bakar.
Well, I ended up getting him from the bench, so
you should get your sugar levels checked, Bakar, over the vacation. So much jam.
Too much
so
jam.
much jam. Move on to the next one.
I need it, bro. I need it.
But Zoff, you're okay with a punt on Villa. Right? Yeah. Because I do agree there's a narrative for it. It's just I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. And like you guys said, I don't necessarily would be selling my Brighton players unless we get confirmed news that they're missing out.
Right. Brentford City.
First up, let's talk about Haaland.
I just want to give a shout out to Pras, who's been a regular on the pod in the last month or so. And when Mbuemo scored a couple of goals, he just wrote that somewhere someone out there is writing a thread on how Bumo does without Tony, and he's going to milk the living daylights out of that in the summer and gain 5K followers as a result. I just want to put it out there because I thought that was just a brilliant thought at his end. Somebody's going to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will. And I want to do that. I probably will.
I love that
I have no shame. I have no shame in admitting it.
No
I have
shame.
no shame in admitting it.
Yeah.
Shit. Right. Getting back to
Yeah.
Haaland now. Do you get, let's look at two scenarios. Once we get news that he is starting, do you captain him or go against the grain?
I'm going to go against him.
Bakar?
Not captaining Haaland.
At the moment, I don't have my armband on Haaland. I just think even if he starts, there's a chance he could get taken off around the 60, 70-minute mark. And Brentford at home are all right. Even though Haaland in recent times has been underperforming by quite a stretch. I mean, he's put up almost 5 XG and scored just the 1 goal in the previous 6 matches. But I think you can bet on someone who's likely to play 90 minutes. But again, you can't really go wrong with Haaland. I mean, I'll see how I feel on Sunday. But at the moment, I'm not on him for captaincy.
So off you?
I don't think I'll be going Haaland. Most likely going Salah. That's where I'm currently on.
Yeah, that's a good place to go. Exactly. I just think there are captaincy options out there where I feel more comfortable rather than 60 minutes on Erling. I'll take the chance.
He was still in his pajamas
I have
last
this
night,
week.
right? I think even yesterday he had so many chances.
Yeah. That was
Three big chance
happenstance though.
moments.
I didn't captain Erling this week and I just got away with it. Like yesterday, I just got away with it. Like I had a little sugar level rise up yesterday because of what happened. So yeah.
Was anybody surprised
But,
that Grealish missed both the games after they clinched?
the best bit was that certain players, Pep was like, certain players are not playing because they're injured. Suddenly they had an injury. And I'm like, yeah, in my head. Like the group with Grealish has the injuries. We know what happened there. No chance Grealish was going to play.
He said we drank all the alcohol in Manchester.
Yeah, man. Are you interested in punts here? I'm not. I think there are other fixtures where I'd want to go to for punts. I'm not interested in Brentford City because, like Bakar rightly mentioned, Brentford at home are pretty decent. I just don't want to go here.
It would be
Let's
interesting
say
if
if we get
Haaland misses out.
news that
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Bakar.
Alvarez becomes a shout. I was going to say that Alvarez becomes a shout, right? In that case.
That's probably the only one place I would go. Because Mahrez, I don't know,
Yeah.
he hasn't been doing it for me. He's not looked the same goal threat. I think I don't really like anyone in the midfield. It's only Alvarez.
And even if Alvarez plays with Haaland, he's not as effective. I mean, he's much better off as a number
As a
9 when
striker.
you look at him from an FPL point of view. So if he's playing as the lone striker, then I want him. But as a number 10, I'm not so sure he's the best pick.
Yeah, it's the narrative, right? It's what Pep said after securing the title. Is like, oh, it's such a tiring season, and like we just can't wait. We have to play Brighton and Brentford like we're forced to, but we just have 2 more games. Like he's not even thinking about the Premier League. He doesn't give a shit. Like it's going to be a little bit of a coaching exercise / drill. He's probably going to tell them keep the intensity levels low because you guys need to be fit for the 2 cup games. I'm just not interested here.
Do we think Edison plays this one?
I think he
don't-
does. I think he does.
I think he does too after
I
missing
think-
the last 2.
Yeah, I think Pep will go close to full strength in this one.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he
Yeah.
missed this because Ortega's had 2 games, and I think he'd want Edison to get at least 1 game before the Champions League final.
Can I talk about Edison though? Because I
Sure.
just think in a game where, in my head, the keeper position in terms of variation sort of matters the least. It's sort of like a position where you stick and forget and see what happens. A lot of it is random, etc. The amount of characters on Twitter and bandwidth on podcasts that this one pick gets absolutely bamboozles my mind.
Yeah, some people
Like,
get accosted
absolutely-
for it non-stop.
Yeah. No. I just remember what happened. But in general, like I'm not even talking about our podcast. Like the amount of conversation around one player who doesn't even matter that much. And I understand that guy has seen extreme negative variance this week. Just the keeper position doesn't matter that much. There are better things to talk about when you're talking about FPL. So yeah, just wanted to get that out of my chest.
It's bizarre because when you look at, let's say, someone like a Grealish, he hasn't returned in any single game since game week 33, and he's had 2 double game weeks. Yet no one is talking about him, but he's been a horrible transfer. I mean, probably even worse than Edison. At least Edison got an 8-pointer against Everton, or was it a 9-pointer? No one, you won't hear anyone say it. You won't hear anyone say it.
You know what this reminds me of, Bakar? You just bringing up the 8 points that Edison got. Like, when I was in college, right? And we were been through my fair share of dating. And there are a few instances where the girl would just not let you have the last word, no matter what. Like, no matter what. This right now, you bringing up after just a very casual, chilled out conversation about Edison, that no, but he got those 8 points. Like, exactly.
He's been a horrible transfer. So he's been a horrible transfer. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it.
But yeah, just
horrible transfer.
Anything more?
Chelsea, Newcastle.
I don't know what to say. I think Chelsea Newcastle is pretty much an avoid all around. I don't know which Newcastle guys will play. They'll be a bit on the beach themselves. I guess you play here, Trippiers, etc. But in terms of punt territory, it's not a fixture you go to.
But Zoff, both teams on the beach, sort of.
We've been on the beach for ages.
Yeah, but like I think both teams have nothing to lose here. I don't see any reason for this game to be a tight 0-0 sort of game.
Probably
if I had
not,
to call it 2-2 or 2-3, this sort of game would be it.
I mean, Chelsea scoring 2 goals would be shocking, but for sure that could be the case. But again, I think Lamps was asked, are you going to rotate, give young players a chance? And he did his whole Pep Guardiola, we will see thing. So I don't even know what the lineups are going to be like.
It's probably going to be a 1-1 kind of game. You expect both teams to score probably.
I don't know. I see goals.
Hypothetically, Newcastle could still be in a position where they're playing for third, right?
Yeah.
But again, I'm not really confident. They'll be missing Pope. We don't really know which striker is going to start in what system.
And they have injury problems. Like Eddie Howe mentioned that a lot of his players had been playing sort of semi-injured because they wanted to secure Europe. Now that's done. I expect 4 or 5 of the first teamers to sort of play. And
the Richies, Mankios, they need to get games.
Yeah.
You guys think this is a high scoring?
Nah.
Yes, I think so. I think in my head, games where both teams have nothing to play for, sort of why do they defend? Like, that's it's much more ease there. Like, play attacking football. I think like those kind of games are much better to target than teams that have something strongly to play for. But again, it's a tough job guessing those.
In case certain teams who have something to play for, things could be a bit more cagey. So, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. This doesn't scream it to me, because the whole atmosphere on Stamford Bridge is so negative right now. Everyone's just sort of waiting for next season, and it all depends, I guess, on how tonight goes. Let's say if you guys give us a rollicking at Old Trafford, we lose 3-0, 4-0, then maybe the players will want to show some pride on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
What about Brentford Man City? I mean, we haven't discussed what kind of game you guys expect it to be.
That feels like a 1-1 to me.
Yeah, boring training drill from City, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1 sort of game.
Yeah, I think 1-1, 2-1 either way as well.
Yeah, I don't see But what my point was is because of how I expect this game to go, if you find out that your striker, Isak or Wilson, whoever that is starting, play him.
Yeah.
Because I think there are points there.
Completely agree with that.
Isak on the left, though. I mean, let's say we get news that both of them are starting. I'm still not confident with Isak on the left. His numbers just aren't that good.
It depends on the rest of your squad. I just think if you have a free transfer to use, the other guys are starting, then it's fair enough. I like a Watkins more than an Isak, for example.
Yeah, on the left, I'm not entirely confident about him.
But again, it all depends on the other guys who are obviously you prioritize players who are missing out.
Yeah, exactly. Let's assume that everyone is starting. Then
I don't.
Would you rather sell someone like?
I like him out for Watkins or a Jesus, for example.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people who are in this position where they have a Newcastle striker and they have the Brighton mids. So assume that both, all of them are starting. Would you sell the Brighton mid or would you sell the Newcastle striker? That's the big question.
That's an interesting one because again,
this,
Brighton are good.
this week is more about the player you sell rather than the one you buy, because there are like 50 good options out there, and it's actually very difficult to figure out who to buy. But in terms of selling, let's say we don't get any concrete news that anyone is benched, then it becomes tricky.
It is. I think I would probably sell the Brighton guy.
Interesting.
But it depends who
not
we can
that
get
clear
to.
cut.
It depends who we can get to, right? Because the reason I'm saying that is not we move on to our next game. I really like Eze. If I had to pick one player out of the entire pool, I think he's the guy I would want because Forest, as we know, away are pretty rubbish. Palace are at home. They'd like to go out on a high, etc. I think Forest are as beachy gets.
And both teams, again, this team is the same as Chelsea, Newcastle for me. I see goals here. Both loosey-goosey, like let's show off a little, play
Palace
some
slightly
football.
different
Also,
because Palace have had a good season. Chelsea is a little bit different.
and also probably Voice last game. I don't think he's going to continue next season.
Probably.
So he'll want to put on a show as well, right? Like he's done this job, etc. He's got those sexy black glasses with his like the frame being down a little. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think this is a great fixture. I like Eze significantly more over Olise. Defense again wouldn't really bother. They don't have the upside guys.
Yeah,
Edward,
but even no, you don't know if he's gonna start for
I think
sure, right? Because
Zaha is still out. I think the last time he started in place of Zaha. I think it's a pricing thing. He's like 5 point something.
Jordan Ayew
likely to
off.
start.
Like,
yeah, there's Jordan Ayew, there's Olise. They're fine picks as well.
No, I'm saying the striker spot is between Edward and Jordan Ayew. So I'm not confident about minutes there to punt there. Like Eze or nobody. Or Olise if you're
all four started last week, no? All four started last week.
I think so.
Yeah?
All four started. Edward scored as well. So Edward is likely to start, but what I don't like about him is that he could be taken off early, which he always does.
What's up with Mateta? Is Mateta even around? I have no clue.
Mateta is having batata.
He rarely completes 90 minutes. That's the issue. So Eze is the clear favorite. I mean, penalties, good underlying data, good fixture.
In a weird sort of way, Eze is the chalk punt. Like most people are going to punt. He's as safe as it gets when it comes to punts. I just wanted to ask a weird question that was in my head. Whenever I think of Crystal Palace games at their home ground, does it weirdly seem like a game that won't see many goals because of the small condensed pitch? Like it's just a weird subconscious in my head. So, do you feel that?
I think it's more to do with the players and managers they've had over the years. Historically, it's always been sort of a 1-0, 1-1 sort of ground. Because you look at the guys they've had, Hodgson, Vieira, they've always been defense-first managers, right? I think so. Maybe that sort of mindset is there. But I think Eze is even an outside captaincy shout.
They had a very high-scoring game against West Ham very recently, 4-3, where Palace won. So, I mean, they've been playing with the swagger under Roy. I mean, I don't see this game.
He got called up for England as well. That always, that gives a player a good boost.
Oh, what about their opposition? They've also been having swagger. I mean, both Morton Gibbs-White and Taiwo, who scored 5 in the last 3. Yep. What do you think Forest do? They play their squad. I have no idea what he's going to be up to.
They play Gibbs, White and co. Still, because ultimately, again, what else is left? You play the guys who did well for you. Maybe the guys who have injuries or dealing with issues, phase them out.
Because they've got a bloated squad and players who haven't played. They could give them a game. I don't know.
But why? When I think by now, Cooper, they pretty much know they're keeping Cooper next season. Cooper knows who he wants to keep. Play those guys.
All right. He's definitely, like, both have done so well. I think they're going to get a fair amount of traction in the preseason for us. Both Gibbs White and Taiwo. How do you pronounce that, Zoff?
Taiwo. Awoni.
We struggled.
We just call him Taiwo. Taiwo is easier.
Taiwo. Yeah. I think both of them are going to be in consideration for our pickings early next season.
Definitely. Move on to Everton.
Yes.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
I can't explain how much I hate Dean Smith. Like, genuinely, I don't think there's a manager I dislike more. Though he set up so negatively at Newcastle, right? Look at that amount of attacking talent you have in the team. How could you just be satisfied with a point and just expect Everton to drop points, right? As much as you try, you have to try to take your fate in your own hands. And even before, like, I know I'm digressing. This is not the Leicester game.
No. Go on, man. We're vibes here.
Yeah, so because they asked him also for the West Ham game, I got to go gung-ho. He's like, no, West Ham have players who can hurt us. We have to be confident not to concede. This is not an approach you take with like leaving Madison and Barnes on the pitch on the bench when you're fighting to survive is terrible management.
Yeah.
I can't say more of that.
Yeah. And I think West Ham play a fairly strong team because the gap isn't that is the gap between this game and the cup final for them is fairly long.
10
So
days,
they
I
will
think.
so they
It's
will
on
need a
7th
little
of
bit of
June.
practice.
So we have Game Week 30th, that's on the 20th of May, that's 7th of June. So that's like, 10 days away. You don't want to be playing your kids.
Yeah. And as much as Smith is saying what he's saying, like this game suits Bowen. This same suits Paqueta again, who's been really good towards the end of the season. Like I would be happy to punt on the West Ham guys if I had to, if we're talking about this game.
Yep.
I think they're fine, but again, early substitutions, there's a risk of that happening. And again, I think this game, again, there's a big part of it which will come down to game state, right? Depending on what's happening in the Everton game, and let's say if Leicester very expansive, then it might even work out in West Ham's favor. But I think West Ham have improved a lot in recent times, and they should have fun against the Leicester defense. Personally, even someone like an Antonio is not a bad shout.
Yeah. What is it? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Do we think, as expected, Everton are going to save themselves, or do you see some?
I think they will. Because Bournemouth are firmly beat. I saw the Man United game. I saw the game before that also. I think there's 2 games they've not really scored. Everton and the home crowd are going to be fired up. I think they have the firepower. McNeil and Doucouré, I think, are again good midfield picks.
Yeah. Did you go there for your Gameweek 38 punt?
I probably like Eze more, but I think right there after that would be Doucouré. Slightly more than McNeil, because I think Doucouré is going to be the one scoring the goals while McNeil is going to be creating.
Yeah. Because what happens, right? Let's talk game state, right? Like, let's say Everton are 1-0 up or 2-0 up. Defending for their lives after, I think. I don't think they're going to be going gung-ho, trying to get a third goal. I just think they're going to shut shop, like, full on. What do you think, Sof?
I agree. I think this is a better fixture for the Everton defense rather than the attackers. For the reason that you mentioned, that they're going to be defending for their lives even if they take the lead. Secondly, because Everton, they're third for set plays since Dyche has come in, and Bournemouth have a set piece weakness. They're 18th for XG conceded from set plays. And someone like a Mina or Tarkowski, there could be a big haul at the end of the season. But having said that, I mean, Everton are terrible defensively. I still don't trust them to keep a clean sheet even against Bournemouth. I think Everton will survive. They'll probably get a draw against Bournemouth, but I think it will probably be more because I expect Spurs to beat Leeds or draw to them, and West Ham to beat Leicester. So that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion.
Why I'm a bit more confident in Everton is that Mina goal right at the end, right? The vibes are good. Leicester, the vibes just seem rock bottom. That's why I like Everton more.
Well, any punts you like from that Everton? Doucouré,
McNeil,
what do you see?
Mina or Tarkowski?
Yeah, McNeil. If Mikalenko is back, then McNeil could play further forward. But I just don't rate their attack very highly without Calvert-Lewin. I think it suffers a great deal, which is why I'm not.
Is he definitely
really
out
that keen.
for the weekend?
I think he's out.
He's likely to be. Yeah, he's likely to be.
That's why I like the Doucouré be the main goal threat down the middle.
Yeah, that it makes a difference, but still better places to punt. Like I like Azemo, like you mentioned, but I wouldn't put anybody off Doucouré. Say that.
I won't put anyone off anyone this week. I mean, just go with the vibes. I mean, it's just one week, random week. Just go with whoever you're feeling will do well. I mean, there's no glaring consequences. I mean, what really can go wrong? I mean, it's not as if you're going to regret this transfer decision over a period of time where, let's say, you don't buy someone like Ollie Watkins in Gameweek 29 and he continues scoring week in, week out.
Yeah. Leeds Spurs. I mean, this is like the game that I've got the vibes and the feelings for. Like, Heung-min Son is the punt I'm wanting to make this week. Like, I'll call it, like, out of all the names that we see on the fixture list, like, the one I'm feeling the most is the Spurs attack. Like, I feel like there could be points and goals there, especially because dull, boring Mason showed intent last week by playing 4 attackers. And I thought that was nice of him. And I thought they were really good in the first half. Got done in the second half, but Leeds defense, and they have to go for 3 points, going to be open. The defenders don't know how to defend anyway. I like this fixture for Spurs.
I'm going to digress again a little bit. Let me ask you this question. Kane's got 28 goals now playing for Spurs. How many do you think he would have scored at City? How many do you think he would have scored at City? Haaland's got 36. Would he have scored more or less?
About the same. I think not about the same, maybe 32, 33. Because also, I think Kane would have led the way he plays, right? And City would have played differently. Pep's game plan would have been different. It would have led to the attacking midfielders get more goals, etc. That the system would have been different. So I'd say between 30, 32.
I'd agree. That's a smart answer because very easy to say that Kane is also finishes very well, plays more minutes, etc., etc. But then I think he's scoring so many goals at Spurs because he is pretty much their only goal scorer, right? Not to take anything away from his season. It's a phenomenal season. 28 goals is Kane's best season so far.
Yeah. I mean, certain people have been looking at a Game Week 38 Rodrigo punt. I mean, Zoff, you've been indulging in him a little bit on and off this season. What do you feel?
Nah, I don't think, there's some doubts about his injury front, but I think they're better picks in midfield. But Kane, I think if we get news that Haaland is out, Kane captaincy, I think possibly appeals to me a bit more even than Salah.
Yeah. I'm just feeling
the only thing with Kane is, I mean, just to play devil's advocate, the only thing is that only 2 of his 5 or 6 hauls have come away from home this season, double-digit hauls. He is consistent, but doesn't really tend to haul.
That's a good point.
I think it's a good shout, but for captaincy, I would probably go with someone more explosive.
Just talking game state and how this game is, right? You're expecting Leeds to be a little more gung-ho. Like, it's not going to be a control game for Spurs, right? So it seems like the kind of game where Kane is sitting at the halfway line and playing the through ball to one of the 2 runners on either side. That's how I perceive or foresee the goals to happen. And that's why I think it's just a Son game. I just think it's a Son game.
I agree with that. And there are 2 things there. Firstly, it's I mean, Son's numbers since Mason has come are actually very good. He's top for XG, non-pen XG, and big chances. And Leeds, even after Big Sam, are 20th for XG conceded. So it's a very good matchup for both Son and Kane. But the thing with Son is that how do you get him? Because a lot of people have Salah, a lot of people have Bruno. I don't really see a situation.
You get him comfortably if Haaland is benched.
Yeah, but even if that's, I mean, Haaland to Kane is an easier transfer to make. So that's a transfer for those people who have 2 free transfers, right?
No, take a hit. Gets on. He's the better pick this week.
I'm not sure a hit is worthy at that point. I mean, when you can get Kane, why would you take it?
I'm just talking vibes there. I don't want to not say what I'm really feeling.
I get it. I mean, it's against logic, but come on.
I've got the Fantasypedia graphics up here for Leeds United versus Spurs. And like you mentioned, Elad, this backs up what you're saying. Leeds do have a weakness down that flank. And a lot of chances down the center as well.
Shot conceded, I was looking at the shot conceded map since Big Sam joined, and it's a lot in that Son area as well. So I just like this matchup.
I think it's a good matchup to invest in, definitely.
Yeah.
Move on?
Yeah. Move on. Just before we move on, I think it's a good time before we move further ahead to just say a thank you to everybody that's been listening to us all season, to all our guests who've joined us as well this season, to all our patrons who have been phenomenal on the Discord as well. We've loved interacting with you guys, and we're only going to make those bonds deeper and greater as time goes on. And I look forward to chatting with you guys next season as well. And you guys who watch and listen to us, you guys have been phenomenal when it comes to supporting us. And all 3 of us are extremely, extremely grateful for that. And thank you for all the love. And just for one last time this season, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe button because that helps us.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Right. Extremely indebted to everyone who supported us, the people on our Discord, those content creators who've helped us throughout, and even the 2 of you who've been of great help throughout the course of the season. I'm on course to a 50K finish, hopefully. I've had a great second half of the season, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. So thank you for the support.
My pleasure.
Yes, Paka.
My pleasure, my Wildcard. Move on.
Right.
Man United, Fulham. We discussed Leicester West Ham. United, Fulham. Now, assuming you guys do pick up a point today, which I'm fairly sure you will. Do you think he'll rotate?
Yes. I think there are certain people who deserve a rest and he'll give them a rest.
It's a shorter turnaround, right? Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah.
This could be
So I see
interesting.
because, like United, I don't feel confident about starting chances. Like I could see somebody like a Garnacho start, etc. as well. So
It's
Do
pretty
you
much
think United
lineup
will
dependent.
still? Do you think they'll still not want to play for the third position, and they still
No,
have like a
'cause-
week's time before the cup final?
like there are two things that would make it really worth it. At the moment, the only difference between third and fourth is I think 2 mil additional. Outside of that, there isn't a case where you have to play an extra qualifying game, which would really be worth playing a full team for third place. And there isn't a seeding issue either for either Newcastle or United. It doesn't matter. Your tires are not going to change in the Champions League seeding as well. So yeah, like it doesn't
But-
matter that much. Third
But
place.
Ten Hag doesn't tend to historically rotate, so I'm not
It all
exactly
depends
sure whether
which
it will
players are
happen. It
playing
could
through.
happen, I guess.
Yeah, which players are playing through
Yeah.
injuries, which players are fatigued, how tiring tonight's game is. A lot of variables over there.
Yeah.
But I think they are one of the
And
teams
even
you need to
a-
watch out in terms of lineup leaks.
Exactly. And even if they're starting 60 minutes, like get a run out and get a rest before the cup game.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Ten Hag is going to push them. Again, provided we get a point today. If we don't get a point today, hold your United players.
I like, how can you think? Okay, fine. That I'm going to try to be at least a little bit optimistic here. Sure, maybe you won't get a point today.
I mean, if Everton get a 9-pointer away to Newcastle, then everything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm not even sure Kepa plays today, by the way. I think it
Okay.
might even be Mendy
Really?
in goal. Let's see.
Yeah.
Cool. Move
Right,
on.
Southampton, Liverpool.
Liverpool. It's a big one. I think Firmino is going to play this, you think? Because Liverpool can't really get to fourth anymore. They get pretty much secured in that fifth spot. I think Firmino is going to
Yeah.
get a run out.
I think he's going to get a run out and I think it's a fun punt. Like a lot of people, I think Parmo, shout out to Parmo, sent us a question. What are your thoughts on people playing their last game for the club? I mean, a couple of seasons ago, I captained Aguero. He didn't start, then also did well. Do it. Man,
something
that's
that
what we
reminds me.
play this
So
game for.
Milner probably takes penalties in this one, right?
Probably.
Or maybe
Could
even
be.
Firmino does. Because I don't see Salah taking the
Hmm.
penalties, and this just struck me
Yeah.
while we were talking.
Yes. I could totally see a Firmino or a Milner taking penalties in this one. Not like Salah's chasing the goal. Wow, it's the first time in a long time we don't have like a golden boot chasing narrative. We've had it for the last 2 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So yeah. Yeah.
And the
it's a
good thing about
point.
Liverpool is that we generally they tend to, the team news tends to come out. So depending on whatever lineup is playing, let's say it's a very strong lineup, then means that Klopp is serious about it, and then it's likely that Salah takes penalties. But if he's just
Nah,
flogging the
I don't think
the players who are
I don't think
leaving,
the lineup is going to give you that
That's
idea, right?
different.
Because he's still, Firmino is pretty much going to play. I'd be
Yeah.
very, very
I
surprised.
think
I'm not that sure.
If the,
I'm not that sure.
if United get a point today, I won't be surprised if Klopp mentions in the presser tomorrow, oh yes, Bobby's playing on Sunday. Like,
But what makes you
I-
think that he's going to play the 90 minutes, right? I mean, there's a good chance that he can come off, let's say 60-minute mark, get a standing ovation from the fans. That's equally likely, right?
Yeah, I
But
know.
yes,
Bakar,
I mean,
but
to an extent, it does sort of put me off Salah captaincy, but I do think the strength of the lineup would be a good indicator of how Klopp is approaching the game.
yeah. Question: do you think Liverpool get top 4 next season?
I think so.
I think
Yes.
so too.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be back with a bang. They just need to get legs in the middle of in the midfield, and they're good. The defense and attack is fine. The midfield needs to sort itself out.
Gary Neville has been hilarious this week. Did you see his bit about mini retirements?
No, I haven't. Tell us
No.
what happened.
So
What did he
Gary
say?
Neville doesn't exactly know what a holiday is. They asked him, so how do you normally take a break? Gary said, every 3-4 months, I go on a mini retirement for 3-4 days where I don't take any phone calls or think about work. Sometimes I go for 2 weeks. So it's like a mini retirement.
Wow.
No idea what a
Nice.
holiday is. The reason I mention is
Yeah.
because he said on Monday Night Football is he expects Liverpool to be the only team that can challenge Man City for the title next season, and I agree with that. I still don't see anybody
agree
else
with
who
that.
can.
Yeah, I think City will push. Liverpool are the only team capable of pushing City, provided they sort their midfield. Because right now their midfield is rubbish.
I think
they
McAllister,
need
they're
to get
saying, is
legs in.
almost done. That's what all the rumor
Yeah.
mills is saying. Mason
No,
Mount
like
might
it
go.
depends on the midfield because they don't have a good midfielder. I mean, Jones has done well in the last 10 games, but Fabinho's legs are gone. Henderson's legs are gone. That's a problem they have, the midfield.
But in general,
Thiago is
high scoring
fit
game.
20% of the times.
High scoring game.
Yeah,
expected,
Liverpool, one of the games to target. Yeah. Like if I wish Liverpool had something to play for, I'd be happily punting on somebody like a
That's
Diogo
true.
Jota or
Yep. I really wish
like,
they did.
yeah, like this is a game to target for sure. So yeah. Right. Just before we move further, your top 3 games to target. Bakar, I'll come to you first.
Aston Villa, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Forest, Arsenal, Wolves.
Tough?
I'd agree with 2 of those at least. I think Arsenal, Wolves, I like definitely Palace, Forest. Villa, Brighton, again, I don't see Brighton being a team you can turn over. There might be a 1-1 sort of game. I think Leeds Spurs is where I'd go.
Yeah, I think for me, Arsenal attack, Spurs attack, and Liverpool attack. These are the 3 I like.
Liverpool, again, that's the only thing I'm worried about. Like you said, don't have much to play for. But that could, again, work in their favor.
Yep.
Let's just do a quick roundup of the Fantasypedia matchups, see if we see anything over here that particularly stands out.
Just want to say a thank actually to both our sponsors as well. Thank you to Fantasy Football Scout as well for supporting us this season. And if you guys aren't members already, like before the season starts, I think a month and a half before the next season starts is probably the best time to get into membership because you get to look at the data of the past season, etc. And they do a phenomenal job covering preseason as well. I just wanted to say huge kudos to what Neil and Tom have done this season in terms of the editorial work on the website as well. Like I know for all 3 of us, it's a practice to read everything that goes on there, and they are so exhaustive. I think it's enough to arm yourself with enough information for the season. And I'm not just saying it because there are pod sponsors. I've been following this practice for the past decade of playing this game. So yeah. And a big thank you to Fantasypedia as well for supporting us. I think these chances conceded maps have been a big hit. People are looking for matchups, especially in the latter of the season. So thank you. And if you guys aren't already, follow them on their Twitter. Their links are in the description below.
Fantastic. So let's just look at Everton, Bournemouth again. Like we've seen, the weaknesses are down the flanks. Something to target over there. Wolves, nothing in particular. Pretty much shipping chances all over the shop. Forest, they have a weakness down their left flank. Something again which could work in Eze's favor. But again, these are again dependent on the players, etc. they play. Previous lineups, we don't know who they're going to be playing necessarily at left back, right back this game. So how much we can read into the stats for this week in particular, I don't really know. Fulham, lot of chances conceded down the center. Southampton, I wanted to have a look. Southampton conceded a lot of chances down the other side, probably Diaz's side, not as much so on Salah's side. That's about it. Let's just do our bus teams.
I don't think bus teams even matter because we're going to be like sort of league dependent. I think what sort of matters is I think just one conversation to have. I think because everybody's going to be looking out for leaks at one point. At what point do you confirm your transfers? I think that's an important piece of advice to give out.
We've been fortunate that a lot of the leaks sometimes have been coming a little bit earlier than the 15 minutes which we were getting a few game weeks ago. So I think at max 15 minutes is what I would leave it, not more.
Not more, right?
Probably 10 minutes,
yeah.
10 minutes max.
Yeah. I'm going to be in the car because I'm going to a friend's place to watch the IPL game. The IPL game is starting.
Yep.
And it's starting at the exact time the deadline is.
Yep.
So,
I'll probably be watching
I'm going to
CSK.
be down.
I'll probably be watching the cricket myself. But yeah, I think we need to have a few targets, right? Just identify different targets in defense, midfield, and forward who you want to buy. And just keep that ready so you don't have you don't need a complex flow chart. Just keep the options ready. That's it.
And also, if you're you're targeting one of the teams that has gotten team news early, let's say early in the morning, and you're still wanting to wait till later in the day, I think an hour before, comfort news is that just make it and then just chill and enjoy life.
Pretty much. Let's wrap up, guys.
That's right. So, wow. It's been a good season podding with you boys. Any last words, Bakar?
It's been a pleasure podding with you guys this season. Hope you guys have a good summer and see you again in a month's time.
Probably not a
Zoff?
month. I don't think we will be doing any content in the month of June, but we will be back doing our usual promoted pods with Luke. He's finished in the top 10 again of the Championship
Again.
Manager game. So that will
Again.
probably be the first
Legend.
pod we do. Then right after that, I think we'll be opening up. We might do some interviews with managers. You'd like to do maybe a roundtable. But then again, probably the big
Yeah.
pod will be when the game opens up. We get the prices. The fixtures are coming out on June 15th. You guys know that? Just 2 weeks down the line.
Yeah. I am aware. Yeah.
What?
No
Are you
content then?
serious?
Yes.
My God. Some content might happen, then you never know. Wow, June 15th, that's too early. That's giving me a headache already. I don't want to think
Literally
about
the
that
day
right
after
now.
the Champions League final, or the second day after the Champions.
Hey, Neil's in the chat. He's given a shout out. Another great season of video and written content. Wow. Thanks, Neil. It's a
Yes.
pleasure to actually have you watching us right now. That made my day. Right. So we don't know. Probably Zoff might not be there, but if there is somebody to talk to about the fixtures, there might be somebody. Depends on our mood. Right now, we can't wait to take a break. Good luck this season, guys. Good luck, Game Week 38, and see you next season.
See you next season, guys. Thank
Good
you for
luck.
all your support.